Well, hello there. Right, I have recently bought some training hands, or asked on my page about training hands, stuff like that. This is my first set I've done using, I don't know whether to call her Gladys or Felicity. We can't quite decide. So I've done another video, which I haven't actually voiced over yet, so this is going to confuse me, about the unboxing of the Flexi hand. And now I'm just going to do a set. I'm going to voice this over in two parts because I haven't actually finished filing them, because I was doing this late the other night, and then Misslucysnailartist came home, and then I just, you know, because we don't see each other through the day, it was nice to actually talk to him. And then I still haven't filed it in because I've just been getting everything finished off, ready for my Christmas break. So, as you can see, the things come off nice and easily. I am wrapping some, I always forget what this is called, micropore tape, I want to say, round the fingers. The reason you do this because when you're working with silicone practice hands and you want to sculpt, you will need something that the form will stick to, because the form will not stick to silicone. So I'm just applying that micropore tape. You can get a more, there's like a weave, like almost a woven micropore tape, if that makes sense to anyone. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about it will come straight to their mind, otherwise I'm talking rubbish. Which I think would be a little grippier, both to stick to the silicone and for the forms, but this is all I've got. So I'm going to apply my forms. Again, first time I've used this training hand. Forms are a pain in the bum to put on training hands, but so it doesn't look very smooth and professional, but I'm going to do it anyway. So usual, take the centre out, put it on the bottom, get a little curve and a roll in using my HD Pro forms. I love these because they're nice and firm and you don't have to double up your forms and they stay where you put them. So I'm applying the form and then I'm closing it up. I know some people close it up and then slot it onto the nail. It's whatever you prefer. This is just how I apply my forms, and then pinching down. Then I'm going to get my scissors. As you can see, as soon as you touch it down, they ping open, but trust me. Oh my god, I've just got a text message. Mr. Glitter Fairy has just messaged me. He's doing the food shop and he's asked if I want rhubarb and ginger gin or Parma violet gin. Like, both please. Both now, immediately. Yeah, so I've just, sorry, I just had to share that with you guys. So I've just cut down so that, as you can see, it just opens up that form so that it fits nicer to the nail. I'm just going to pause the voiceover so I can reply to him because gin does have to take priority right now. Okay, she's back in the room. Gin is ordered. Right, so I'm coming in and I'm going to try and use this as much as possible like I would a normal client nail. Obviously, I haven't done natural nail work prep. You don't need to. Acrylic will stick to the shiny tip. I'm not bothered about that. But I'm still trying to use it as if I would on a client, because that's the whole idea of having the training hand, to be able to show sets. A little easy. I've got so distracted by gin. I'm so sorry. So unprofessional. Right, so basically I'm creating that thin base. As you can see, I could have cut the slits in the form just a little closer to the nail. I'm aware of that. And then I'm coming in with this lovely pink colour. I can't remember its name. It's from the Hazel Dixon collection. This is from her Leading Ladies collection. It's either May or... no, it's not Doris. I think it's May. M-A-E. I think. So I'm placing it near the tip and then I'm just pulling it up because I'm going to get a faded kind of ombre look. Now, a point about using black forms, don't keep piling on the colour. Because it's a black form, it will show through very easily. So don't worry, especially as I'm putting glitter on this, I'm not worried that in the middle it looks a bit like faint and a bit washed out, because that's pretty much where I'm going to be putting the glitter. So if you're using a black form, like when I do an ombre using these forms, the white looks grey, but I know that when I take the form away, it will look fine. So I've come in with Beautifully Buff as the cover pink, and then I'm using, this got named the other day. This was a mix created for the lovely Jen Daniels. She sent me a picture of an Alice band she bought for her daughter, and she desperately needed glitter. So I did a glitter to match. And I think this was just named Plum Pudding, and this will be available at the beginning of January. And I've just used a wet brush just to tap that in along the S. Just my usual glitter fade over an ombre. And then I'm coming in with my clear, placing that on, and then creating the shape and structure of the nail. Well, I will say, whenever you're using a training hand, obviously remember that the setting time of your product will be very different. So when you put acrylic on your fingers or your client's fingers, you'll notice that the setting time will be much shorter because heat will speed up the chemical reaction of the acrylic curing and setting and hardening. So if you're putting it on a cold practice hand, you have longer to play with it, and sometimes it might run a little bit or move ever so slightly differently because, again, it's going on a cold practice hand or practice tip. So when you're practicing, remember, when you do it on clients, you need to move that a little bit quicker. And that's something I kind of struggle with when using a practice hand because it works a little bit slower and I'm used to it just reacting in a slightly different way. So I'm now going to apply my second form. When using practice hands, I mean, if there's someone out there that can apply a full hand of forms and not have them all ping off in between, then tell me, but generally they don't stick very well. So as soon as I've kind of stuck it and it's holding on to the micropore tape, I then pretty much try and keep hold of it there because they will just flop off a bit easily. So applying my form the exact same way, using the finger. I've done one finger already. I really like how to hold it, it does feel like, it does feel quite like a human hand. I like that you can move it quite easily. Compared to like my Essential Nails practice hand, when you move that you have to move the entire hand obviously, whereas this you can just spin the fingers round, which for ease of practice I actually prefer, but if you're getting used to clients, obviously it's not, you can't just spin your client's finger 90 degrees. And the other thing I would say, I have been looking for practice hands because I have got problems with my hands just holding the nails, like in the claw. I feel any resistance can be quite painful to me. Now I did find, because of like the springy bits that hold these fingers in place, with this ring finger and the middle finger especially, by pushing the other fingers out of the way, that did aggravate my hand a bit because I felt like I was constantly pushing that, having that resistance, pushing them away. So that is just a point, not the end of the world. And to be honest, I could quite easily slide all the fingers off and do one at a time on the end. So that isn't something that would put me off using the hand. That's just something I would put out there for anyone else who has poorly hands like me. So for this now, I have done a clear base. I've used the beautifully buff Cover Pink. I've then come in with a holographic unicorn. I think I did hot pink. I think hot pink or purple. And then I'm just popping the glitter around in an S, covering up that free edge. And then I'm just putting a little bit of wet clear acrylic over the glitter and the unicorn, just to keep it in place just while it sets a little before I cap it. And I've given all that glitter a little chance to set, and then I'm going to cap the entire nail in crystal clear. And again, you'll see as I'm capping, it's quite nice to be able to move the fingers quite easily, spinning it back and forth, because when you're filing, when you're capping, everything, it's nice to be able to have that nice movement with the nail, so you can keep seeing it from different angles and it gives you a nice smooth finish. Okay, so this now, as you can see, I've already applied the form. The form has flopped off the little finger. I'm just doing a full colour now here, so I'm just doing a clear base, and the reason I do that clear base is just so you get a nice soft join from the free edge to the sculpted now. Placing on the clear acrylic, again, don't need to, but I'm just trying to get into practice as if I was working on a client. And then I'm just coming in with that pink colour. I'm going to do a full colour now, because then I'm going to do an raised glittery 3D gel-lag design. So yeah, so I'm just going to do a full colour now with the pink and then capping it in clear. And then the pointer finger is going to be exactly the same as the little finger, but I'm going to fade the glitter towards the inside of the hand, so the opposite way to what I've done the previous one. This form and the next form, I didn't fit all that well. As you can see, there's a little bit of a gap. There is something that once I've done the filing, I'm going to show you, which is I actually quite like about this, and I think it's really good for learning and teaching students. So I'm going to leave it how it is. But yeah, I'm going to continue just to finish off this set. So with this nail, I'm just doing the ombre and then some glitter, and then on the thumbnail, I'm going to do a couple of unicorns and glitter. And while I'm working on the thumbnail, I'm going to discuss this from the point of view of using as a training aid. So it's good to have those slightly bigger nails, those bigger fingers, to give you an idea of working on thumbs. The only problem with this when they're all in a line is that you don't get used to what to do with the other fingers. So with my Essential Nails hand, when you work on the thumb, the other fingers are there, and it's often it gives you a better sensation of what it would be like with a client, because lots of qualified techs will know this, and my clients will definitely know this. Sometimes when you're doing clients' thumbs, they almost try and like hold your hand. It's very weird to try and explain. I don't know how I ended up being a nail tech, but I really dislike physical affection, touching anything. So a lot of the time when my clients, you've probably seen it in videos of me literally pushing their fingers away. I've got quite used to it. I've just got a little move where I just go boop, with my fingers to just go, stop trying to hold my hand. And that is something that clients tend to do. So when you're working on a thumb, on a different practice hand that was shaped more like a hand, you would get used to the feel of the fingers, or how to position and how to hold the hand so that they're not bumping against you all the time and getting in the way. So that is, I think, so far the only down point about the layout of this hand is that you don't get used to what it is like 100% to work on a thumb. I hope that's all made sense to you. But anyway, yes, I'm just going to finish that design, cap it, and then I'm going to do a bit of filing. Okay, and I actually filmed the filing. Oh, it's weird filing on these. They are a little too flexible at this point. I wouldn't put it as a massive down point, but they are like all over the place. To be honest, you could just slide the finger off the mount and file it that way quite easily. I found the nails themselves were pretty secure within the silicone, so I wasn't worried about breaking them off. Sometimes when I come from underneath, I knock them a bit. But from a student training point of view, I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think when you're learning, especially on a practice hand, you can be a bit rough with your filing. And then when you get a client in front of you, they could be sat there going, Christ, what have I done to make her hate me? Sorry, pardon my language. So I quite like this, because this will definitely teach you to file firmly to get the job done, but not so roughly that it may cause discomfort or anything to your client. I did notice, as you can see, the nail slips out a bit, so every now and then I just have to push it back into the cuticle. Not the end of the world. That's going to happen. That didn't really bother me. The microball started to slip, so I just took that off. I don't need it on there after I've sculpted anyway. So on the whole, again, still really impressed with this training hand. Still think it's a really good tool. Could see myself definitely recommending it to students. So I'm just going to continue filing, and then in a minute I'm going to take the nail off and continue to show you why I quite like it as a training aid. The only thing I found is, as you can see, you have to go again, it's really good training because it will teach you to be very gentle around the cuticle area, because every now and then I just kept knocking it and buffing it. And if you're learning to be gentle because you're going to keep knocking the nail out of place, that's pretty good practice for when you then have a client in front of you, because you're going to want to be gentle because you're not going to want to make your client cry, basically. So yeah, I think I was going to file some more, but then I decided against it. So I'm just going to cut off the micro pore. In a minute, I'm going to slide the nail out. I'm trying to time this right because I haven't filmed anymore after this, so I'll be going away and filming the final bit. But you can... Oh, did I file 2? I think I filed 2 nails for you. No, I didn't. I'm coming back to that. Sorry. So I'm just finishing that off, and then I'm going to pull it out, and then I'm going to show you underneath. You can get a really good idea of how well you're fitting your forms. And I know, again, you're fitting it to a tip. It's not a real person, blah, blah, blah. But when you take this out, you can see underneath straight away whether your formers fit flush or not, because you will see if you have that little ridge or not underneath where it joins. So I think that for training is fantastic, because it will really encourage you to be more aware of that. You can also, if you're worrying that you're making your nails too thick, slide it off and have a look at it from the side at all angles. See, that's not... I had to get my camera to focus, but that's not too thick, it's not too bulky. I'm getting a nice streamline between the nail, but underneath you can see if there's that little step. So I'm going to stop rambling now because the video is going to turn itself off, and I shall join you again in well, for you it'll be in a few seconds when I've recorded more. So, okay, I did that first voiceover about 2 weeks ago. So this is the set all filed in and done. On the whole, this is a pleasant enough hand to use. There are good points, there are bad points. I think for the price point, it's good. I like the fact that you can pull the fingers off, as you will see in a bit when I do the design on one of them. They're very movable, flexible. So, you know, well named a Flexi hand. Maybe a little too flexible. Obviously, if you're training and trying to get used to working on a client or something, these obviously will spin right round. Your client's fingers won't do that. Filing in, I did find that they were a bit loose and floppy and a bit all over the place when it came to keeping the nails still kind of like in the fingers. But you know, I would recommend this Flexi finger if you had like 70-80 quid. Yeah, I would recommend the Flexi hand. If you had a higher budget, I think there are other hands that might be more suitable and just offer slightly different ways of doing things. But yeah, I was quite happy with this. I will no doubt use this again, and I would recommend this to people. So yeah, so I'm just going to apply top coat to all of those nails, and then I'm going to cure, and then I'm going to add a little bit of a design. For the design work, just for ease of use, I have I slid the finger off, and then I'm using some of the HD Pro art gels. I can't remember what colour this is, and I'm using the Accents palette, and I'm just doing like a swirl design like I did on the silver nails I did at Christmas, and I'm just going to create a design using these gels. And I love these gels, they're fantastic. You can do a whole design and they don't move, and you're not having, you know, they're not too thick, not too thin, they're just right, really nicely highly pigmented. And with this design, I'm just kind of letting it flow, just kind of, I don't really have a plan. I start somewhere and then just see where the design goes. obviously a plus point of using a finger that comes off, and you can just use it for, you know, move it around from all different angles like this, so it makes it nice and easy. Then when I'm happy with the design, I'm just sprinkling over my loose glitter. This is the HD Pro Companion Glitter. And then I'm going to cure this in the lamp. Remember to double cure. I only single cured, so when I first brushed it off, I smudged one corner. You need to double cure these gels. And there you go, so there's a nice textured design, and that's the finished set. So as I said, I do like this practice hand. I've got a few more to try and review, and that is the finished set of my first time using it. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I shall see you all soon. Bye!